Alright, so what I like to use is it's a 32-inch 32-inch extension, 3/8. I loaned out my 1/2-inch 28-inch extension and never got it back. So, but anyway, what I like to do is I like to use a breaker bar, just like that. Loosen them up. Okay, and it is a 13mm on each side of the motor mount, on this side and that one right there that I just loosened up. So I'll put it on this side. This is hard to do with one hand, but got that one loose. Once I break them loose, then I can put the impact on it just to kind of help it out quickly. But the one in the center there is a 15. So I'll change out my 13 here. Put on the 15. Get on there. And then loosen the one in the center. And you don't have to jack this up yet. If you go and jack it up without loosening it up, you're putting tension on the reverse side of that mount. What we jokingly refer to it as an airplane wing. You put tension up on that, and then it's harder for you to get this bolt off. So I just broke that one, all with one hand. They don't have to be on there too tight. I'll check the specs. I don't quite remember off the top of my head. But now I'm going to reverse those out. I'm going to do the other mount on the other side, and then I'm going to put a block of wood that on top of my jack head and put it right underneath the transmission pan area and jack the motor up about a good not 3 inches, but it only needs to be maybe about 2.5 inches. That engine won't go up a whole lot. You got to be careful when you do it. So when it bottoms out and goes up as high as you can get it, then you can sneak that out. You can even jack more closer to this side to get this one out, so the engine rocks a bit, and then the other side too. The transmission mount on this is also going to be replaced, so it's actually cracked. So this is going to go up, a pretty decent amount. On the V8 model, I did have to loosen the transmission mount, but I haven't done one in a while, so every car is a little bit different, especially when you have aftermarket parts in it. So I'm going to go ahead and get those out, and then I'm going to do the other one, and I'll show you how they go back in. Pull out the side to the 13mm. Now I'm going to do the center, which is a 15. I already loosened with the breaker bar, and now I'm just getting them out quicker with the impact. So now they're all loose, and now I'll jack up the engine and pull them out. So you see where I put the jack there, right behind the oil pan on the bell housing. There's an area between the oil pan and the transmission pan where there's a solid bell housing area, and I used that block of wood, put it on top of the jack, and jacked it up just enough. Now if you look down here, it has already popped out. So what I'll do is I'll pull that out. And I got just a little bit more to go. Let's see. So what I did is I used the pry bar and just kind of rolled the engine a little bit. by sticking it underneath and then pulling it out. You'll see it right here. I might drop it, which is okay. Alright, so you see it down the bottom there. It's kind of stuck in between, but I'll show you where it's at. It's right there with that bolt sticking out. So I'm going to reach back in there, push it out over the edge, or pull it out this way too. So there's the old one. So here's the new one. It even comes with a nut. And here's the old one. Now if you look even, you can see how smashed down it is. So that let you know there's something wrong with it. And the vehicle does shake a lot. Now one thing people forget to do is they forget to take this cap off of the original and put it on the new. And this thing ends up drying out and leaking all over. And who knows how long. I live in Arizona, so it happens. So you need to take this cap, and that kind of protects that bottom rubber piece from anything happening to it. Of course, there's part of the frame there that covers that, but still you want to have that on there. So make sure to switch that over. So this is going to go into the passenger side that I just did, and then I'm going to do the other side. So alright, so I got that down in there, and it's a little tricky and it's hard for me. I couldn't sit here and have the camera on while I did it, but I'm going to explain it really quick. There it is right there, and it's in place. What you have to do is you have to come in from this side. So, and you'll stick your hand through, you can't really tell, but if you're watching this video, you'll understand what I mean. You'll stick your hand through this side here, this opening here, and kind of have it off to the back there and tilt it in. Make sure the top post for that goes inside here, and it's kind of oblong. Any of you guys working on this, you'll know what I'm talking about, but this is an oblong hole this way. So if you tilt it and you stick that post in through the bottom there and push up, I'm not sure you know how strong you are, but if you push up on the mount while you're putting it in, you can rock the engine a little bit. I mean, at least I can. I'm rocking it now. And you can push it into place, and the bottom piece will go into that cutout in the mount. So to give you a little bit more room, take the air cleaner off. Remove that, remove the sensor, and there's one 10mm bolt right down in there. So I already got them all out. Just pick it up, pull it off, set that right there. So now it gives you a little bit more room to get to that mount right there, and that's, you're going to put it in through the side there. So again, I can't film while I'm doing it, unfortunately, so I'll pull that out and put the other one back in. Alright, so this is the driver's side. In order to get that in there, this stud was it's a little taller on this mount. So in order to try to get it in there, it just didn't quite want to clear that, and even though I had it jacked up to the point where it was a little too much for me. I don't like to move the engine that much. So what I did is there's 16 or 15mm bolts, 3 of them, on the actual motor mount itself. So I went ahead and loosened those up on this side so that I can get about 1.5 inches of play. I don't know if you can see that, but I can move it up and down. So I'm going to jack the engine back up comfortable enough in order to get that in there, and then that play on the motor mount itself will give me some room to get that stud inside that mount hole. And then once I got it sitting over the top of it, I'm going to go ahead and tighten up those 3 bolts on the mount itself, and then I'll lower the engine down and do the rest. So just letting you know, you'll use this one here. I used a 1/2-inch breaker bar with a reducer, because a 1/2-inch extension will be too big to get into the space you need to. You'll use this with a 6-inch extension, a universal, and a 15 millimeter to get to the top bolt on the mounting bracket on the that goes to the block bracket. And you'll use a flex head and the 15 in order to get to the two underneath the vehicle, and they're pretty accessible. It's pretty easy to get to. So alright, so after loosening the bracket there, the 3 bolts in there, you'll see the picture where the bolts are. After loosening those, I was able to pull this up just enough to slide over the top of that. So I'm going to go through and put the nuts on there, or the bolts in there, put the nut on top, and then I'm going to tighten that down and then torque everything down. So it's a little tight fit. I actually dropped the mount. You can see where there's a little few marks in the dirt and that. I actually dropped this down there, and I had a heck of a time getting it out, so I had just pushed the motor over a little bit. You can move it, but once I get those all torqued down and I get the mount torqued down, I'm going to lower that down, lower the engine down, and put on both nuts there on top and torque those down. So now I'm doing the bolts for the motor mount bracket that goes on top of the motor mount. This is the bracket that goes from the mount to the block. So I loosened it up a little bit to give me a little bit of play. Probably didn't need to, but I didn't want a chance marring the threads or anything like that on top of the new motor mount. So if you look on YouTube, the videos, there's a lot of ways to do this. You guys get kind of extravagant, but this is a way to do it with a regular jack and regular tools. I have a motor mount or a motor crossbar that goes from side to side, but it actually takes a lot longer to do it that way than it does to do it this way. I've done it so many times this way that I prefer just to use the jack. So alright, got that one tight. And we're going to torque that down to 41 foot-pounds. And I'm going to get underneath and do the other two. So that just gives you an idea of what I have to do on that. And there's the mount there. Alright, so I got the 2 side bolts in there, and they're pretty snug already, and I got them started to make sure they're not crossed. So I'm just going to go ahead and tighten them down a little bit with this. It's actually not really torquing it, they're just a little snug. Of course, this is a 1/4 inch impact, so. Okay, so now we're going to take. If you try to look for these torque specs online, you're going to see them all over the place, but I've always done them at 46. So as you can see, I didn't quite get it tight enough with the impact, but hear that click. I already got the other side started, but I'm going to go ahead and torque those down. I won't waste time showing you. Alright. The top mount bolts on top of the bracket, your numbers are all over the place on that too, so it's always best to look in the Chilton's manual or Ford manual, but we've always done them at 41 foot-pounds, so never had any problems. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side over there, and you about get the point. So I'll shoot a couple pictures and a short video of the end result, and we're all done. So like, share, subscribe. I hope this helped you. I know there's other videos out there on how to do it, but I had to restart my YouTube channel and I'm using a lot of my customers' cars. This also is proof that things actually been done. I live in Phoenix, and there's a lot of shady mechanics out there, especially mobile independent mechanics, and this just gives the customer peace of mind. So that's part of the reason why I do these videos as well. Take care, talk to you soon.